claims to be a champion for women's rights. And she multiplied millions of dollars from Islamic countries to finance her campaign. This is documented. Most of you have probably heard it. Hey, anyone want to comment? I mean, your input is welcome. If you don't like what I'm saying, I don't like it either. But, all right. Now, a couple of generations ago, maybe 3 generations ago now, Europe killed most of the Jews that were living in it. The Jews were very useful citizens who tried hard to blend in and mix in. Today, Europe is taking in these Islamic people. They do not amalgamate. They do not blend in. They do not mix very well. And these Muslims have been rumored to be forming safe zones where they're allowed to set up their own areas and practice Sharia law if they want to. And European police and fire are not allowed in these zones. Now, did I say European? There are rumors that there are some of these safe zones right here in the United States. And nobody outside knows what's going on inside them. Sweden has taken in so many Muslims that it's been said that if Sweden got all of its cops and soldiers together, there's not enough of them to drive them out. They're permanently embedded. And Sweden has become the rape capital of the world, and no, and it's not the Swedish men doing the raping. What's that?
That's a globe.
Yeah. I mean, there was a case where in America, out west, where an American girl got raped, and a judge let the person off because it might create an international incident. The man, I mean, I'll put it as plain as I want to, the man who did it was a South Asian man. You might can guess the rest. This created somewhat of an outrage, but folk, I mean, these people believe they have a right to do this to persons who are not Muslim. Now, having said all this negative stuff about him, I have to say this. Some of the most honest, morally upright people you will ever meet are Muslim. Yeah, I must say it. And I've had more than one student say that the Muslims they know look like they would never even kill a fly. They're gentle, kind, and easygoing. In a lot of cases, this is true. Sir Winston Churchill put it this way. He visited some Islamic countries in North Africa between the wars. He was really fascinated with these people. He thought, hey, these people, I mean, maybe they've got something on the ball. You know, he noticed their lifestyle was a little bit primitive. No automobiles, no electricity, no running water. But then he also noticed that Islam has a very, very dark side to it. And he decided not to embrace it. And he saw the dark side.
What was that?
Dark side, they advocate killing people who dissent. And again, I think this is the reason they have not progressed scientifically. All right, I have a sample paper. When I talked about papers earlier, in this sample paper, it was written by a person from an Islamic country, and he states in the paper that the United States government is terrible. In our country, the United States, our senators sometimes disagree with our president. Now, folk, no statement he could have uttered is truer. I hope all of you know our senators sometimes do disagree with our president. I'll tell you something else. My wife sometimes disagrees with me, and sometimes she proves to be right. We believe in the freedom to dissent. That's how inventions are made. You have the right to disagree with me, and I've had students not in this class, but in another class who do. Last Monday it got pretty loud. My head. So I started recording that class also. Any other who check out might notice I'm recording both classes now. I hope that camera doesn't keep all of you quiet. It might help keep order a little bit. Anyway, yes. That's the reason they have not made any kind of scientific progress in 1,000 years. They need to start allowing the people free. Now, I had in this morning's class, one man said, he was being funny, I never disagree with my wife. Yeah, all right. I disagree with mine sometimes. All right. Anyway, the Arabs passed a lot of ancient knowledge to the modern world. They did keep the writings of Aristotle and preserve it, and a lot of the writings from the ancient Near East they have passed on. So a lot of what we know about the ancient world passed through them. In the field of literature, they gave us some high quality literature in the form of stories called Arabian Nights. Two of the more famous, one of them is Alabama and the 40 Thieves, and the other one is Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. I've read both stories. Have any of you read any of those by any chance? Okay, very good. Just a couple of you. Alabama and the 40 Thieves, Open Sesame. Open Sesame could open the cave to where that, and Aladdin, his magic lamp, you could rub it and make a wish, and the wish you made would come true. Generally considered high quality literature. Rugs. The Persian rugs are some of the most beautiful rugs in the world. They make these rugs so they can kneel on them and worship. But their Persian rugs are high quality, beautiful rugs. They have art. Again, they were doing pretty well, keeping up with the rest of the world a little bit, until in 1680, and that's jumping out of the time period, but they went to Vienna. Well, they went to after conquering Constantinople in 1453. They annexed set their sights on Vienna. In 1580, they tried to conquer Vienna, but the Europeans turned them back. In 1680, they went to Vienna, and again, the Europeans turned them back. And after that, they couldn't make any kind of offensive, and they started losing land. In 1492, they lost Spain. In 1802, they lost Greece. They lost all the Balkan regions, owing to the fact that their weaponry remained primitive by European standards. Even in the early 1500s, when Portuguese went around Africa, they encountered Muslim ships, but the Portuguese cannon were better than the Muslim cannon. And the Portuguese could fire before the Muslims could, and do damage to a Muslim ship before the Muslims could return fire, because the Portuguese cannon were better. Well, it got worse as time went on. All right. Okay, folks, does anyone have any comments, questions? Once I get out, I'll probably think of the things I could have said. But anyway, I'm not into the class. I do want to start on Africa, the next chapter. I want to open up with chapter 8 by making a statement that probably would have gotten me fired had I said it 50 years ago. Today it's more or less standard anthropology. The statement is, all right, I've already mentioned how that all human females are descended from one woman we call Eve. What I didn't tell you at the time, I saved it till now, it appears that the original Eve was a black woman. Now, that doesn't bother me in the least. Like I say, 50 years ago, if I'd have said it in a southern school. But today it's more or less standard anthropology. So if you report on me that I said that, they'll probably laugh at you. Because after all, my boss here is black. I don't know if you know that or not. Yeah, my boss is black. So anyway, leaving that, but yeah, because it is believed by a lot of anthropologists that humanity began in the Kenya region of Africa, in East Africa, and yes, I went right into Kenya, in the grasslands, and humanity spread from Kenya all over the earth, and eventually some people lost their outer coating of melanin or whatever, the skin tone, and became lighter and lighter, until eventually certain groups of people no longer have the melanin in their skin. Now, I have a different reason why I believe the original Eve was black. Is it You can go from having a genetic information to not having it, but you can't go from not having genetic to having genetic information. Basically, it flows downhill, folk. It doesn't flow uphill. In other words, black, the color black is because of something in the skin called melanin. You can lose it, you become white. You'll be white. If you have it, you're black. And I don't believe that a group of white people could have produced black people. But I do believe the other way around, that black people could have produced whites. So that's why I believe that the original humans possibly, or likely, were black, but over time. All right. Africa has the most natural resources of any place on earth. Now, I want to emphasize that because 55 years ago, I was in about that time, I was in the 8th grade. The year was 1962 and 63. And my 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Conley by name, she never taught after that. I don't know why. I think she saw that kids were getting worse and worse. I mean, no kidding. But she never taught after that. But she kept telling us the world's most natural resources are in Africa. And if these people can ever get their act together, we're going to have to explain and answer them to why we treated the African people the way we did. She said we because the school I went to was an all-white school. Later in my career, we had a black family move in, and now we've had more and more. But at the time, it was all white. She was saying that this place has the most natural resource. Well, 55 years later, this has not yet happened, but I'm not saying it won't. All right. Africa was once known as the Dark Continent. Its geography, more deserts than anything else. Now, you might think of Africa, we once thought of being jungle, but actually only a small part is jungle. It has the world's largest desert, the Sahara. It also has other deserts south of the Congo River. It has a lot of grasslands, particularly located in East Africa, where the mankind has said to begun. The grasslands are filled with a lot of wild beasts. Now, when I say grass, I'm not talking about the stuff you walk on your feet. I'm talking about grasses that are taller than you are, taller than I am. And these grasses are so dense that if you put your hand out, you can't even see your hand. A trained person can go in them and come back out alive. Most people go in them and immediately the grass behind them closes up and they get disoriented and can't tell which way they came in and how to get out. And a lot of times panic ensues. The grasslands are filled with venomous snakes and all kinds of other critters that you better not think about. And a lot of people who go in them don't come out alive. But again, a trained person can go into the grasslands, find a way around, and come back out. Don't ask me how they do it. But when I talk about grasslands, I'm talking about really, really heavy grass. The Sahara Desert. You might not know that a lot of our hurricanes form in the Sahara. Now, I say that tongue in cheek because this year, the Sahara Desert did not form any hurricanes. Now, how that Sahara Desert has the hottest temperatures on Earth. Temperatures get up to 170 in the daytime. This gets winds to flowing, especially when the temperatures drop down so low at night. So the variation gets wind, then the one wind joins to another wind, then that wind joins to another wind, and other winds join together and create a stronger wind. Then the winds blow out over the Atlantic and get their energy from the warm waters of the Atlantic and travel 4,000 miles. They come to usually around the area around the Gulf of Mexico, and at some point they always head north. All right, now I say that tongue in cheek because the last hurricane we had did not form in the Atlantic. It formed right off the coast. It caught the world with surprise. It formed off the coast of El Salvador. No, actually, I'll tell you about Belize. Formed off the coast of Belize and headed straight north, and for a little while was heading toward Atlanta. Now, right at this moment, folk, there is a Category 5 hurricane heading for the western side of Mexico. It's curving in such a way. Now, I don't think it can do much damage because we're a long way from it, but it's curving and it's heading toward Atlanta. Pay attention to it. Vera, I believe, is the name. well, I'm not sure what to name it, but anyway, it's a Category 5 hurricane. On Wednesday morning, it's expected to slam into the western coast of Mexico. And what's more, when the last hurricane hit 2 weeks ago, the week before last, one of the experts said this is the last hurricane of the season. I have known weathermen to somehow or another their forecasting ability seems to get worse as we get more computers and more satellites. It seems like their forecasting ability is getting worse instead of better. I see at least one head nodding, and like you're two heads nodding, like you're in agreement with that. All right. Anyway, but hurricanes, the ones we used to have, at least, would form in the Sahara Desert. All right, the South Africa, which makes a lot of news, has a lot of hills, plateaus, and deserts. All right, I want to say this. I want to leave you this thought, then I want to close. One thing I want to emphasize is that Africa figured more into this human history than we once thought. These natural resources, particularly iron and tin and gold and ivory, found their way into Europe and into Asia. And there's certain winds that go across the Indian Ocean. Where for 6 months of the year, these winds go east. For 6 more months, they go west. And these winds are highly dependable. And they got Africa to trade with the Far East. And one Chinese emperor sent a ship to China. And this ship came back with giraffes and elephants. And the giraffes really fascinated the emperor. You know, and monkeys and apes and all kinds of critters that evolved. So Africa has been a part of world history. Much more so than we realize, and we'll talk more about that next class. Everybody have a good couple of days, and I will see you on Wednesday.